Hello guys, this is Dr. Pawan from medisujok.com, the international medical journal of Sujok. And I am here to discuss you about an epidemic which has right now occurred in India. It is dengue fever. Dengue has caused mass destruction right now, and we as Sujok practitioners have a pivotal role to play in reducing the effect of this major epidemic. And let's discuss about Sujok and its role in creating dengue fever. So, what we understand from dengue, the first question which arises is why the dengue fever always occurs during the months of September and October. To understand this question, we need to have trial origin consciousness and the 6 key consciousness. Through these two consciousness systems, we can answer any questions. So, if we understand, in the month of August, there is high humidity prevailing on the earth in the month of August in the form of clouds, rains, and then people using coolers, and the water is not evaporating from the rivers, from the mountains, and there is a lot of stagnant water in the tires, on the roads, and the sides of the roads, and there's a lot of stagnation. So we have to understand that this is humidity prevailing where? On the earth. So lot of humidity, and the 6 key cycle says after humidity, as per the creation cycle, dryness should come. But there are also two more cycles prevailing. One is subjugation cycle, one is the axis law. To balance this heavy humidity, the subjugation cycle comes into picture, coldness comes into picture, and by the axis law, wind comes into picture. How? Let's understand that. Why this humidity? Why so much of humidity, which is not going out of the balance? Is we have to understand right now Earth is in the dimension of excessive humidity and hotness stage. People are evolving so much, and there is so much of crowd. There is so much of density of people, and the population has increased to mass level, and there's overcrowding everywhere. And there's too much of humidity. That's why because of this heavy population, there's so much of unhygienic area where there is breeding grounds for this the mosquitoes and all. So we will understand it later, but you have to understand that so much of stagnation, unhygiene, stagnating water, and the other energies of the 6 key cycle now must come into picture to maintain the balance. Nature cannot handle this much of humidity in the form of so heavy population. It has to balance it with the help of coldness energies and the humidity wind energies. So if we understand that once there is so much of humidity by the anti-subjugation cycle, first coldness, and then by axis law, wind should come into picture. All these cycles gets activated. Now humidity, so much of humidity, and wind comes into picture. In the 6 key, parasite has been classified in the energy of wind, and bacteria also wind, and coldness and wind are virus, and humidity is fungus. Like that, the classification has been made. And mosquitoes are like something, they breed, they multiply heavily in those stagnating waters, which is wind coming. And in this wind, the also anti-subjugation cycle, which coldness energy, the virus from the zero world has to maintain balance. When there is some imbalance in our world, so from zero world, something should come into picture, and it should maintain the balance. So virus is there. If we study the pathomechanics for this, from where this virus is coming, there is no clue. They say it's prevailing since years. I say it comes from the zero world, and to maintain the balance, it breeds, enters, the mosquitoes are breeding heavily and they contain the vector already, which is since years. And these Aedes mosquitoes then breed in the form of wind, and coldness comes for mass destruction on the earth. This is how 6 key cycle prevails to maintain the balance, and then there are mass casualties on the earth. This is one of the explanations why Sujok can answer this question, why only in the September and the October this comes. Now this epidemic right now is still prevailing, and when you expect it to end is something around Diwali. Diwali is something when we burn a lot of crackers, which is the heat, and only this heat can transmutate these energies of the coldness and the wind, and it should end, I think, around Diwali. And the thing is, if we understand by the laws of triorigin, why most we will understand that most of the epidemics will happen in September and October, which will bring the mass casualties. We understand that spring in February, March and April are hetero. May, June and July are neutral years. May, June, July. Then August, September and October are something like homo years. And around this homo period, when the homo energy predominates, this will bring destruction. So that's why every time we see most of the epidemics. And why this dengue occurs every year, but sometimes it is some less dangerous, not much of epidemics, small cases of dengue. Like last year was not heavy dengue epidemic, it was a mild epidemic, and this year it's been a big epidemic. This is again explained by triological laws that there are 4 kinds of right now dengue virus strains prevailing in the atmosphere. We can categorize one strain as neutral, one as hetero, one as homo, and one as neutral. So whatsoever neutral strain will cause the least destruction, and which I think was last year, and whatsoever strain which is dengue 2, I think, which is hetero, is right now prevailing in the atmosphere. This hetero strain will cause mass destruction. These are the explanations why dengue always happens in the month of September and the October. And now, to maintain the balance, virus has appeared from the zero world and it is multiplying via wind energy in the mosquitoes, and is bringing mass level destruction in humans via the energy of coldness. And if we understand it, the pathomechanics, and when the fever starts, when this mosquito bites humans, and how the course of dengue fever is like. The dengue has 4 phases. It is again classified by triological laws and triological models and triological sequences. Neutral is for first period, no period, where there is incubation period. Mosquito has bitten, virus has entered into the human body, and it is multiplying very slowly. This is around 10 to 14 days when virus multiplies in the body and is dormant and is not causing any symptom. This is no period. Then there's hetero period, when there's heavy fever and sweating and flushing, blushing, and then there are pains, and if you see the face of the person, it is like red, hot, and profuse sweating is there, and there is a lot of swelling. This is the hetero period. And after that, after this around 3 to 4 days, this fever slowly goes off and the homo period enters, and then again the platelets starts decreasing and the BP is decreasing, BP is going down, patient is going in the shock, and this is the homo period, with the homo force trying to take the life of the patient. and after that, once this 9 days, 8 period, actually it is the 8 origins theory of 8 origins, it faces 8 days. And once this 8 days period is over, the patient then recovers and the neutral period of the virus starts. Now when we will discuss the treatment of this dengue virus, the time triarogen acupuncture and the months meridians and the 4 phases of the no, he, ho, ne period will guide us how to treat dengue effectively. And now the question arises, why most of the time platelets are attacked by the virus? That platelets go so low. Why? This is, if you see carefully in the blood tests of all dengue patients, there will be actually all the things decreasing. Some hemoglobin will decrease, some WBCs will decrease, but platelets, like, they will decrease heavily. All the plasma will also leak here and there, and there will be some changes in the plasma also. And all of us know that there are, in the triarogen classification of the joint and triarogen classification of the circulatory system, inner part of the circulatory system, there are 4. Blood as operating neutral, hetero is RBCs, neutro is WBCs, homo is platelets, and plasma is neutro. So if you also know the triarogen classification of the microorganisms, hetero is virus, homo is parasite, neutro is fungus, and no is bacteria. So heterovirus, it should have affinity for homo. Hetero likes homo, opposite charge. So out of all, although it affects all the components of the blood, it affects most is platelets, the homo part of the blood. Hetero likes homo. So this is how the triarogen helped us to understand all the pathomechanics of the dengue fever, and the question has been answered that why the virus attacks only in the months of October and September. And in the next part of this seminar and this video, I will discuss how to tackle this dengue virus. Thank you, and smiles to all of you. Smiles.